Hey guys, just wanted to remind everybody to take a look at my Society 6 page if you want anything crypto related as a phone case, coffee cup, anything really. You can even get t-shirts and sweatshirts. I'm working on multiple designs right now, and if you want any custom designs, please send me an email at my business email located along with the Society 6 link in the description below. Thanks. What's up guys, it's Dylan back again with another video, and today we're going to be talking about the settings I spoke about in my last profit trailer video. If you guys haven't seen that, go and check it out. It's on the playlist Profit Trailer. It's the newest one released. But anyway, let's jump right into it. So I spoke about releasing some settings once I got out of the bags I was in on my own personal bot. But I decided that's probably going to take a little bit longer, and plus I had nothing to do today, so I thought I'd backtest some settings and try them out, and this is what I got. So I'm releasing these settings. These are for low budget people such as myself, other college students or people that just don't want to put that much money into their bot yet and want to try something out. So I got that labeled there up at the top, and everything's broken up into different sections, kind of, making it a little bit more visually appealing. So let's run through them. Let's just talk about it. It'll be a short video today. I won't go too in depth. So if you want to get in depth, join my Discord. That link is in the description below. I'm usually in there probably 12 hours a day, something like that. If not, just leave a message and I'll get back to anybody, in a timely manner. And also, these will be found on my GitHub. All you'll have to do is just click on the link in the description below, and it'll pop up the GitHub page, and you guys can navigate towards these settings. So what I have here, I broke it up into sections as I spoke about. So in the initialization settings, sorry, I can't say that word. I show that, you choose your market. I have these made for Ethereum. Once again, if you want any different markets, join the Discord and I'll help you set them up for, Bitcoin or Tether. I don't know why you'd be using Tether anyway. I that's another video for another time. But anyway, so you set your market, start balance. You set this to whatever your start balance was or is. Enabled pairs all. If you want to change that, you can. Max trading pairs, I run 4 because I don't have that big of a balance. So if you have a higher balance and you want to try these settings, just use it appropriately. Don't have too many pairs and then get yourself bagged up and screwed in the long run. But I think 4 is a safe amount of pairs to use. You can even use 3, but I choose 4. Default initial cost I set to 0 because I like the initial cost percentage personally, because it scales to your balance. So say you have zero point 0.7 Ethereum and then you buy something, it will use the new balance as the initial cost percentage, but it'll always be set to 2% of that balance that you have, if that makes sense. You can go to the wiki on that Profit Trailer provides, and it kind of gives more of an in-depth on this setting. And min volume, 750. I just thought that was a good volume. If anything's below that or above that, or below that, it wouldn't be good to use or buy into, in my opinion. You could set it to 700. I just like 750. Default min buy price 0. Default DCA enabled -8. We'll go into that once we get into the DCA section, and I'll talk more in depth of why it's at -8. Keep balance 0. That's just if you want to really get in depth with all these and what they do, just go to the wiki for Profit Trailer. So now let's go into the buy log settings. So this is like the filtering of the buy log. So hidden pairs, BNB, obviously, if you're trading on Binance, you want BNB to be hidden because I'm sure a lot of you guys are using it for your trading fees, and if you're not, I don't know what you're doing. And then the pair min listed days, I set it to about a month just because in my personal experience, I don't like coins that are newly listed because they're usually pumps and then just straight dumps. So you give it a month to really kind of rebound or recover and so on and so forth. So I set it to about 31 days. Default max buy spread to 2. That's a mild, it's a little bit conservative, but not too conservative. So the rebuy timeout, I set it to an hour because if a coin's doing well, you just bought in and then you sell it real quick, it could be it's pumping and then it could dump off. So I set it to about an hour. You can set this higher or lower. Higher would be obviously more conservative, lower would be more aggressive. But I just think 60 is a good stable point for a rebuy timeout. Min order book volume percentage, I set that to 100. Buy max change percentage. So this is kind of where, like, if you run different add-ons such as Feeder or Magic, this isn't going to replace them, but it will help you. Say if you don't want to get in depth with those add-ons, you could use these settings to really kind of help you out when the market's kind of very volatile, such as cryptocurrency. So, I set it to a max change percentage of 10. So if an altcoin is above 10% on the day, it will not buy in. But if it's below that, it will buy in. And then the min change percentage, if it's above negative 2%, it will be in that safe zone where it will buy in. But if it's below negative 2%, it will not buy in. So it's kind of got that, you got a middle point, from negative 2 to 10% of where you're actually buying into coins. So once again, this is all preference or opinion that I use. If you want to change it up and you want to talk about it, come into the Discord. We'll figure something out. And I'm going to be releasing a DCA calculator to help you kind of set all these up. I know there's some out there. I know CryptoGnome has his own, and a bunch of other guys have their own that you can probably just find on the internet or join their Discord and ask them if you could use it. But I thought I'd release my own since I'm releasing these settings. But anyway, so let's move on. So panic settings, this is kind of like, obviously what it states. It's the panic settings. The panic sell only mode or sell enabled. Don't ever set that to true, because if you set that to true, all your coins that you have are just going to start selling off at a negative percentage. You're going to be losing money. But if you are just bagged up and you're just tired of it and want to start trading again, set that to true, but make sure you set it to false again, because I've done that before and I thought I was good and then restarted my bot, and then out of nowhere I'm buying into a coin and then it's selling it at a negative balance or a negative percent. So make sure you know what you're doing when you're running that. Default sell only mode enabled. Obviously this is exactly what it says. It puts the bot into sell only mode and it will not be buying anything in the buy log or possible buy log. So, use that as you will. Price trigger market for Ethereum. Oh, let me space that out so people don't get confused. So price trigger market, this is what, for these settings down here, what market you're going to be using them with. And obviously this is for Ethereum, so we put Ethereum. And then so the price rise trigger is at 6, so that's 6%. So if Ethereum jumps to 6% on the day or above, it will put the bot into sell only mode, because obviously when Ethereum's running, alts are usually dropping. And so set that to about 6%. That's personal experience. You can change this if you want, or you could just leave it. And then we got the price rise trigger, recover. So once it falls back down to 5% on the day or lower, it will take the bot out of sell only mode and start buying in the possible buy log again and start trading. So we also have a price drop trigger. This is if Ethereum falls under negative 6%, usually alts are falling as well. We see that in today's market with Bitcoin and Ethereum dropping, alts aren't doing that well. So I have this set to negative 6%. And so if it drops below that or it hits negative 6%, it will put it into sell only mode. And then just like before, if it rises back up to negative 5% or above, it will start trading again. So this is kind of just like, safety nets. Make sure you use these safety nets. Make sure you look into them on the wiki and just, understand what they do, because they can really help you out in this volatile market. So it's important to know what they do. Now let's move on. So blacklist, I have BNB blacklisted because obviously I'm not trading it. And this is just kind of like what coins you don't want to trade. So obviously, excuse me, BNB for me, because I don't trade Binance coin because I use it for fees. And then you can add in to this and as many coins as you want that you don't like trading. So going to the buying settings now, these are, these are kind of just like a starting point for people. I want people to use these, see how they like them, and then tweak them to their balance, their liking, their preference, whatever you want. I want you to look at these and then tweak them. You could add another buy strategy. You can add up to 5, so you can add another 2, or you could just, go to just one strategy. But I have EMA gain as the default A, default B is RSI, and default C is low BB. I will be, excuse me, I will be releasing a backtesting script on TradingView for free in the coming future. I don't know when that's going to be, but I'm working on that so you guys can just play around with this as you will. But yeah, so this is what it's set to. Obviously, you guys can see the values, the value limit. So if you don't know what value limit is, that's like negative 2.7%. So if it's between negative 60 or negative 0.6 and negative 2.7%, it will buy. If it drops below negative 2.7% on the EMA gain, it will not buy in. Same for RSI and low BB, it's the same thing. So, you know, low BB, if it's below 0 and above negative 3, it will buy in. And then I have default trailing buy to 0 here. You guys can change this, but I think, you know, if it hits all these triggers, I don't want to miss a good buy, so I just set it to 0 and it'll buy in. Obviously, people could disagree with me on that, and if you want to change that, then go ahead and change that. So we'll move on to the selling settings now. This is obviously the bread and butter. This is where we make our money. So I don't like having multiple sell settings because I think gain is all you need. I don't know why people are using RSI and then high BB and gain, because you could miss a high percentage sale because high BB and RSI haven't triggered, or one of them hasn't triggered to true, and you miss out on that, and then you're holding a coin for longer. So I just use one. That's just plain and simple gain. Set it to 1.1 with a 0.25 trailing. And then also I use this default take profit percentage because there's been times where a coin's just sitting there and it's not hitting this, and it's not, you know, it's not doing anything. So it's at 1% and I'm happy with 1%. Obviously, if it's at 1.1% and it's trailing above, and then it comes back down to a higher percentage value and it sells it at that higher percentage value, I'm happy with it. But I also want to take profit when it's above 1% or it's at 1%. So it takes profit at 1%. The default take profit reset percentage move. So if it hasn't moved at a deviation of 0.1, then it's going to sell it within this 25 minutes. It's wait time. So that's 25 minutes. And then the order book profit calculation equals true. If you want to know what this does, it's not complicated, but it's just a long explanation. Just go on their wiki, and I just have this set to true because I think it's a good setting to have in your DCA and pairs files. So that is that on the pairs file. Go ahead and save this because I made that change. And then we'll go over to DCA. So it's pretty simple, this DCA settings. I don't like getting too in depth with the DCAing because version or legacy profit trailer was awesome for DCAing. In my opinion, I always had a good time and always got out of bags just using Anderson. But I think it's good to have another strategy of buy-in just to, like, you know, help buy at the right time, if you will, buy in at the lowest position. So, you know, we got the DCA order book profit calculation again here. Once again, check the wiki out if you don't know what that is. And then default DCA ignore sell only mode equals true. I think that's a good thing to have set because we want to get out of bags. And when it's in a DCA, excuse me, when it's in the DCA log, I want it to still buy. Even if my pairs and the possible buy log is set to sell only mode, I want the DCA log to be buying so I can get out of those bags. So I have that set to true. You guys can change that if you will, if you want to. And then default DCA max cost 0, keep balance 0, and then keep balance percentage. I like to set this at 10. You can change this. Min order book volume percentage at 100. Max buy spread once again 2. Rebuy timeout. I set this to 12 hours. You can set this to 24 or less because I like, you know, if it buys in, I want to see where the coin is going. So I give it about 12 hours to know, is it going up, is it going down? So that's why I have this set to 720 minutes. And then the buying settings, obviously, you guys can read this. It's at 5 for the max buy times. That means it will buy 5 times on one coin. And if it buys 5 times, that's it. It's at its max DCA. And then the default strategy, good old Anderson. Once again, I had good results with Anderson. That's why I'm using it. I know a lot of people kind of don't use that anymore. Maybe they do. I just haven't seen it by looking at other settings that people have released. And then, you know, I like low BB. So once again, it's just like in the pairs file. It's at 0, -3, and then trailing by. I may change this before I release these on the GitHub. You guys will have the updated version, obviously. Once the video is released, these will already be up on the GitHub. I may change this, but I like having a pretty high trailing because I want to buy in at the perfect point, if you will. Like, I don't want it to be a 0.05 trail and it just buys in, or a 0 trail and it just buys in when it could have bought in at a lower point. So anyway, moving on, this is the buy percentage. So the first DCA, it's going to use 100%. You know, it's going to buy in at the exact amount you bought in when it was in the pairs file. And this is the trigger I was talking about in the pairs file. So it won't hit the DCA log until it's at -8%. So this is when Anderson, when these are true, I'm sorry. Yeah, so when it's true, at -8%, it will be in the DCA log. And then once these are both true, it will start DCAing, and then, you know, 50, 25, 25, and 5 for the last DCA. Because if it's at the last DCA, it's at -28%. I don't want to be putting a lot of money into it because I don't know how long it's going to be until I get that coin out of DCA and sold. So moving on now, DCA selling settings. This is just plain and simple, once again, just one sell strategy gain. You know, we have sell value at 1. This is not supposed to be here. I'm supposed to take that out. I apologize for that. So sell value 1, or sell value is at 1%, because I don't want anything below 1%, or I don't want it to be in the DCA log for long. If it hits 1%, I'm happy with that. You know, we got a small trail here of 0.057. You know, anything above 1% is great. But then we see this default DCA take profit again. This is just like the take profit in the pairs file. I have this set to 0.9 because if it's at 0.9 and it's just going to get it out of my DCA log, I'm happy with that. So I set this to 0.9. If a deviation doesn't move, or if the coin doesn't move by 0.1 within 25 minutes, it's just going to take profit on that. So that's just another safety net just to get things out of the DCA log. You know, I think it's good to have those. So moving on now to the stop loss settings. I don't use these. Once again, I just have had bad experiences, you know, losing money, and nobody wants to do that. This is for the long haul, so if a coin's in there for a week, you just got to bite the bullet, in my opinion, but others don't like that, so I added this in there so you can have a stop loss trigger, stop loss timeout. You know, if you are using stop loss, you obviously know what these are. So moving on now to the indicators. Plain and simple, you got your indicators right here. So candle periods at 30 minutes. I like 30 minutes. Personally, you can change this to 15 minutes. Hell, you can even change it to 5 minutes if you'd like. But I like about 30 minutes because it gives enough time to know what the coin's doing. Some people even like more than 30 minutes. They like an hour, 12 hours. I just wouldn't go that high. You could get banned because of API issues if you haven't heard anything about that. So, you know, and obviously always use the updated version of Profit Trailer because it's updated for a reason, because there was bugs in the earlier versions, but some people don't like doing that. Anyway, so this is just plain and simple. You know, if you don't know what this is, go on the wiki and look into these settings, and it will tell you the candle period, what that means, the length, all that. So, and BBSTD, that is the standard deviation. If you don't know what that is, you really should be looking up some trade analysis stuff on Google to understand all these things. So that's basically it. These are the settings that I will be releasing. Whoops. And any updates to them will be found on the GitHub. You know, it will tell you the last time that I updated them. So if you guys like this video, you guys like the settings, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It helps me out a ton. But besides that, thanks for stopping in, guys. Peace.